My name is Gregory, and what you're about to hear happened last December, during one of the quietest weeks of my life. My girlfriend had gone to stay with her parents for the holidays, and I stayed behind because of work. I live in a small town in upstate New York, the kind of place where houses are spaced far apart and silence settles in heavy once winter arrives. Most of my neighbors leave town for Christmas, so by the time December rolls around, the entire street feels abandoned. At first, I liked that idea. I imagined peaceful nights, catching up on shows, sleeping in, enjoying the cozy isolation of winter. But what happened that week still lives rent-free in my head, and I doubt it will ever leave. It started on my second night alone. It was around 6:40 p.m., already completely dark outside. Snow had been falling lightly all day, coating my yard and driveway in a thin white layer that reflected the glow of streetlights. I was in the kitchen making a simple dinner, pasta and chicken. My girlfriend usually cooks. I'm not much of a chef. To make the house feel less empty, I had the TV playing quietly in the background. As I sat down to eat, I heard something strange. At first, I couldn't place it. Then it clicked. Someone was singing. I muted the TV and listened. The sound was coming from outside. As it grew clearer, I realized the song was Jingle Bells. My first thought was that maybe some neighborhood kids were messing around, but the voice didn't sound like a child. It was deep, adult, male. I stood up and walked toward the front door, following the sound. Found. With every step, the singing grew louder. By the time I reached the door, it sounded like the singer was standing right on my front stoop. A strange unease settled in my stomach, but I still assumed it might just be a caroler. I opened the door. Standing under the glow of my porch light was a man who looked to be around 35 years old. He wore no hat, and his coat was far too thin for the weather. Snow clung to his shoulders. But the strangest thing wasn't how he looked. It was how he acted. He didn't acknowledge me at all. He was staring down at my welcome mat, completely focused on singing Jingle Bells, as if I didn't exist. I forced a smile, unsure of what else to do. I'd never had carolers before, but even then, I knew they usually came in groups. A single grown man singing alone on my porch didn't feel right. He didn't look aggressive, just off, confused, maybe mentally impaired. That thought crossed my mind as he continued singing, oblivious to my presence. When he finished the song, I expected him to say something. He didn't. He took a breath and started Jingle Bells again from the beginning. Same slow tempo, same off-key tone. This time, he lifted his head and locked eyes with me. My smile faded instantly. I stood there pretending to listen, growing more uncomfortable by the second. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 3. I checked my phone. Almost 4 minutes had gone by, and he was still looping the same song. Finally, I'd had enough. I thanked him politely and slowly closed the door. But the singing didn't stop. It continued at the same pace, just as loud as before. I returned to the table and tried to ignore it, but the sound crawled under my skin. Something about it felt invasive, like he was standing too close to my personal space. I wondered if someone else was nearby, maybe supervising him. No one was. 10 minutes passed. Then, suddenly, silence. The abrupt quiet made me jump. I walked back to the front window and peeked outside. The man was still there. He had moved to the end of my driveway. He wasn't singing anymore. He was just standing there, staring at my house. Waiting. That felt worse than the singing. I cracked the door open and told him he needed to leave, that this was private property. He didn't react. I told him I'd call the police. Still nothing. I shut the door and watched him from the window for another minute. He didn't move. I didn't want to involve the police unless I had to, so I decided to go upstairs, lock my bedroom door, and try to relax. Before changing, I checked the window. The driveway was empty. He was gone. Relief washed over me. I got into bed, turned on a lamp, and started reading. About 20 minutes later, I heard it again, singing. This time, it was coming from behind the house. My heart dropped. I ran to the back window. He was in my backyard, standing directly beneath my bedroom window, looking straight up at me, singing Jingle Bells. I slid the window open and shouted that I was calling the police. The singing stopped instantly. He stood there in total silence for 3 seconds. Then he sprinted toward the back door. What followed was the most horrifying sound I've ever heard. He began screaming, deep, guttural, animalistic. Like a death metal vocalist pushed past sanity, it echoed through the yard and shook the house. Then the banging started. He slammed into the back door with full force, kicking it, wrenching the handle, shaking the entire frame. I felt the vibrations upstairs. This wasn't someone confused anymore. He was trying to get inside. I called 911, grabbing a baseball bat and locking myself in the bedroom closet. The operator told me to stay hidden. Then, silence. The banging stopped. I didn't move until the police arrived. They found footprints in the snow leading into the woods behind my house. They didn't follow far. They told me it wasn't a big deal. The people act strange sometimes. I left for my parents' house that night. I never stayed alone again. The man from the arena 10 years earlier, when I was 6 years old, something else happened. Something I didn't fully understand at the time. It was December. Christmas was coming. My birthday had just passed. My family took me to my first NBA game. After the game, I wandered away from my family for just a moment. A tall man approached me. He asked if I was lost. He took my hand. He said he would help. He led me toward the upper levels of the arena. No credentials. No staff badge. I remembered stranger danger. When he let go of my hand, I ran. Later that night, I saw him again, outside our car. That night, I woke up to a flashlight shining into my bedroom window. A year later, a note appeared on my window. This new year, you'll meet me again. The man in the woods years later, as an adult. I went into the mountains with my wife and son to cut down a Christmas tree. Deep in the woods, we met a man. He wasn't dressed for the cold. He smiled too slowly. He followed us back to the car. Step by silent step. Silence. Some men don't go away. I don't know if these men were connected. I don't know if they were the same person. But I know this. Every December, when the snow falls, I listen. And if I ever hear jingle bells outside my door again, I won't open it.